Hi, my name is Louise Clark. Today I would like to look at how to deal with gang stalking for targeted individuals. I've experienced quite a bit of it in the past and seen other people go through worse than I've been through. And I receive quite a few emails asking for advice. So I thought, why not put a video together? I don't really want to spend time trying to explain what gang stalking is, because I feel like there's enough videos on YouTube and so forth explaining that, but no one's really explaining how to deal with it. Although I will briefly go over it, because even though, as I say, there's loads of videos on the internet explaining what gang stalking target individual involves, sometimes they're not got the whole picture, which is understandable because the whole picture is quite large. So I just want to cover that. Who, if I break it down, I've gone into who, what, where, when, but who's involved? It's from the top down. It's cults involved. It's through Freemason networks. That they'll just use the basic human beings on the street, but the network goes right up to the top, and therefore access to intercepting in communications, mail, public services, electricity, gas, government documents are all available to them. So this is why they can work on such a scale. So yes, as I say, it's cults and Masonic networks that are really orchestrating it, but they're using the noddies on the bottom to do all their dirty work. Also, people that are under it, we've got different people trying to make sense of why are they being gang stalked, why are they being targeted. Sometimes they're whistleblowers, sometimes they feel like, no, I haven't really done anything. A lot of the time what is happening is they're victims of trauma-based mind control, but they don't actually, they're not aware that that was their life, and so they're not relating to it as that. Also, a cult is involved too, which I'll go on to explain, and as well, as I say, it's going from the top, so it's also black ops operations, which will be funding it, and the money is limitless. So this is who, and now we look at what. What they use, well, they'll use what works. So different targeted individuals will tell you a different way that they're being dealt with, and each person is worked with as an individual. There is strong similarities, but each individual will be packaged differently. As I say, they'll use what works. If it doesn't work, they won't be using it. So for some people, what will work won't work on one, which will work on another differently. Also, it will depend on whether they have been victims of trauma-based mind control. It could come in the form of noise harassment, always having builders around, you know, so that you don't get no peace. I mean, basically everything is done on, as we know, on a little scale. If you expressed it to someone, they'd just say no, they could dismiss it. You'll have street theatre where there's whole dramas go on in the street, or people maybe, you know, calling names to you or so forth, or it may just be that you keep seeing the same person following you. They may use different hand signals, they may use just cough everywhere you're going, the same sort of coughs. They may use colours, different colour cars, or the ones that follow you, but there's no fixed way that it is. The surveillance can be overt or covert. They can make it that you don't know they're there, or they can make it that you do know they're there. Sometimes they will continue to let you know they're there, and if you ignore them, what I found is they'll keep going until you do acknowledge that they're there, and then they stop. So it's as if once they want you to know they're there, they want you to acknowledge that you know. Where, as I say, it's a global network. Just one sec. Okay, I'm back. Just had a phone call. Right, so where we was at is where. As I say, it's a global network, so it doesn't really matter where you go. Some people leave the country, some people leave their area, they move house. It doesn't really matter because it's a global network, as I say, and so no real point in moving. Some people go to countries like Thailand and that, and they say it's less, but then some say that they're still getting gang stalked in Thailand. So I don't know. It's done in the street. Done in your home, family, work, even in the church, in the mosque. It doesn't really matter because the network's everywhere. It could be done with your phone, interception, interference, with your internet, interception, interference, your mail, interception, interference. Often they'll use, if they're doing it in a home, they'll use like the gas man comes to check the meter, and it's all done to sort of stress. But I mean, well, I'll get onto that. But yes, different people harassing at the door, Jehovah's Witness, so forth. Well, in one sense, it's 24/7. In that sense, that some people have it all the time, but also it's like as if they want to create an illusion that it's 24/7 because they want you to think that they're everywhere. It's like, Sting sings, "Oh, I'll be watching you." He's meaning that. That's one of their songs. They want you to feel that they're everywhere and seeing everything you do and everything you think, and they do have all these different technologies, but they don't necessarily use them all, because what happens is if you keep coughing every time you see if every time you go out someone's coughing, then when someone does cough just because they've got a cough, you'll automatically start to think, oh, it's another stalker, when it could just be someone's got a cough. So what happens is you start perceiving the world, or this is how they'd like it, is you start perceiving the world through their antics, and therefore thinking that they're there 24/7 when they may not be. Also, sometimes the level of surveillance is not as big as we could perceive it to be, but they can hound you so much, especially in the early stages, that you think that they're everywhere, and every helicopter that goes over is a military helicopter to pester you. And it may not be. It may be sometimes, but it may not be all the time. So it's about getting things in perspective. Okay, we're on to how. And how it's done is different, as I say, for everyone. It's using the principle a lot of the time of classical conditioning, which is a psychological term for if you keep if every time, I don't know, something nice happens, or something bad happens, a bell rings, then when you start hearing the bell ring, you expect the nice or the bad to happen, whatever is associated with it. So it's the same sort of principle, is if they keep doing something enough, that then like if they always follow you with a white car, and then white cars go by, you've already got an association with white cars. So then when you see a white car, it'll cause the same distress, whether it's theirs or just a natural white car. So it's like they sensitize you to things. But sometimes, as I say, for a lot of target individuals, they are actually victims of mind control, and therefore when mind control is put in, when it's placed in, it's done in a very organised way. And so when it's placed in, sometimes maybe like when they're putting you through a trauma, which may be like repeated rape or electric shocks or so forth, they may all cough. And then you've learnt that association through classical conditioning of that cough through that trauma. You don't remember the trauma because it's so traumatic that you've pushed it out of your memory. It may be in another altar. But the cough, when you hear that cough, it reminds you, or that altar within you, that a trauma was associated with that cough. So they know that when they go, they're reminding you inside of that trauma, and therefore creating a whole reaction in you that you would have reacted towards the trauma at the time, but you're not aware of the trauma, you're just aware that everyone's coughing and it's causing this reaction in you. This can be quite helpful, as I've written on in my website, of you can use that in a sense when they do use those triggers that were from previous traumas in previous alters. You can use that for indication of a way to access the memory, because you know that whatever they're doing repeatedly is likely to be an old association with a trauma, and therefore they're giving you clues of where to look to deprogram. Also, they use chips, electronic harassment. Chips, some people say you can pray out chips, some people say you can break the chips if you can find them under your skin. I don't know. Electronic harassment, yes, it does exist. Not everyone's under that. Some are. Now, when it comes to stalking, people think, oh, you know, they're all paid and everywhere they go. It might be that everywhere you go, every shop you go in, everyone's doing that or whatever. And so you think, oh, they all must be involved, they all must know, they all must be paid. And that is sort of put out there. But I don't actually accept that as the truth. I think some people may be paid to stalk. Those that you see standing on the corner all the time may be paid to stalk. But I think for a lot of the stalking, a lot of the people that are cueing you and triggering you, it's about their MCs theirself. They're mind controlled theirself. They have alters theirself, and their alters can easily be programmed to do these things without them even being aware that they're doing that for that reason. So they're not even aware they're gang stalking to you, which it helps, because then when you challenge them, they wouldn't know what you're talking about because they are not aware that they're doing it themselves. Also, what people exclude from the equation a lot and don't really want it to be in the equation, but is in the equation as far as I'm concerned, is the demonic side of things, the occult side of things. And yes, the Masons and Black Ops is very much involved in dealing with occult, and that is the demonic aspects. And when, you know, again with mind control, people talk about, oh, the sex kittens and all this rubbish, which yes, it is an aspect, but it's not the reason that all this goes on. And they sort of think, oh well, programming, it just involves a little bit of trauma, a little bit of electric shock, a little bit of drugs, a little bit of hypnosis. No, it's a bit more than that. It's about traumatizing, it's about raping, it's about creating enough stress to open portals in the body to put demons in, or not in, but connect to. So when we're dealing with people that are MCs, they've also got demonic aspects to them, and I think that may be also what is triggered when we walk down the street and everyone's going it's a demonic communication, which is why, yes, he's like, oh, how can they all be told at the same time? But it's about, people don't really want to look at that dimension in the world, and that dimension does exist in the world, and if we don't acknowledge it exists, we don't address it, and so they can get away with whatever they want to. So why do they do this? They do it to isolate the individual, to neutralize an individual, especially if they're like a whistleblower and so forth. They do it so that you're isolated, so that you have people question your sanity. They, you know, interpret it, you know, most of the gang stalking is very hard to prove, and so if you express it, it sort of sounds like, well, people coughing, you're paranoid. So again, then you lose friendships. It's to make, you know, a lot of people end up homeless with no friends, and they lose their jobs because it's a whole network, basically to send you over the edge, to maybe result in you being imprisoned, or maybe result you in being sectioned, to be reprogrammed again, to discredit anything that you're saying. Some people are targeted, and they, you know, and they don't actually have a reason why they're being targeted, and they may have one, they may not know. I don't know them people. So now really the reason I'm making this whole video is not to explain about gang stalking, because as I say, there's enough on it. I want to share with you solutions. Right. I believe that if you understand what is going on, because I know when I first come across gang stalking, which is like 20 years ago now, it was like, what is this all about? Why are they, it's so petty, it's so, what is going on? Why is this, how is this done? And it was all very confusing. So I'm going to try and, I've tried to simplify it, and now I'm going to try and tell you solutions that I found. I haven't got no miracle cures, because this is big business. But what I have learned is, one day using neuro-linguistic programming involved, and therefore people, you may see, is they want to see your eyes, they want to read your eyes, and therefore I found that if you wear sunglasses, that causes a little bit of a problem, because they can't read your eye movement. And possibly as well, it's like, I know that research shows that if you was to stare at someone, and people can sense you're staring at them, because there is something, I don't really know the terminology, but like a frequency coming from your eye that will be picked up by another person if you're staring at them. And I don't really know all what's involved there, but basically, yes, sunglasses get in the way of all that. So sunglasses is a very good answer. A dictaphone is also a very good answer, and a dictaphone is good because it's evidence, but also what I find is, when you are dealing, like I dealt with social services and those authorities trying to sort of take reasons to justify taking the children, which they didn't get to do, but part of the way I dealt with them was to use a dictaphone, because even you don't have to tell them you've got a dictaphone, but just by having a dictaphone, there's a part of them that becomes aware, I am sure, and that's when we get into the demonics, that you have the dictaphone switched on. Because what I found is, when you have the dictaphone switched on, you don't even tell them you've got it on, somehow they behave a lot better than if you don't have a dictaphone on. So you just have the dictaphone on, and then life does treat you a lot better, because it's like as if there's an awareness, and therefore people are more careful of what they say and what they do and how they appear. Also, a camera is useful. I don't use it often, but it can be used. I remember when I had Jehovah's Witness and I was not in a good mood, and they decided, oh, she's not in a good mood, I'm sure, and come knocking at my door, and people could say that's power, but basically I was rude to them, and then they all just smiled and laughed at me. So I started taking photos of them and I put them on the internet, and no more, I've lived here 2 years, and since then no Jehovah's Witnesses want to knock at my door. So the photos do work sometimes. Also videos, to video things, CCTV, I have had that in my home, and sometimes it works, but sometimes they just take the piss and put their own videos in, replacing my videos, to show that we've been in and there's nothing you can really do. But you know, it's worth having, especially if you're under like social services coming around for your children or something. Then yes, it's very useful to have CCTV, because again, they will behave themselves in front of the camera. Also, put alarms on your doors. There's cheap alarms. Let me just get one. There's cheap alarms that you can buy. I mean, I bought these $1.99 in the cheap shop. So there's just little alarms that run on batteries, and they work on magnets, and then when the door opens, the alarm goes off. So at least then you know in your night time whether someone's been in or not, maybe. Also documenting. I mean, yes, it is documenting what happens, and everyone I say document, and I think to a certain extent, but then you want to get on with your life. But if there's sometimes it's worth documenting things if you feel it's generating a pattern, because then if you're showing a pattern, it shows that it's the case. So documenting can be good, but it's about staying calm and not being stressed by it all, because if you're looking at the purpose of it is to create a tension in you, to create a negativity in you, to send you over the edge. So it's about, no, you have to remain calm. This is your agenda, is to remain calm. Don't alert them to what you're aware of anything really, because if you do alert them, then they will step up their game. So it's about, you know, remaining as calm as possible. I know as well, it's about, I know when I want to move and go, you know, just do something different, it's about, they'll be notified if you change your pattern in life, or you're going to change your pattern. So I know for myself, I stay as calm as possible when I'm going to go off somewhere. No one would really know that that's what I'm intending to do, because I would just stay calmly and focused on what I need to pack to take with me where I'm going. And then that doesn't alert in any dimension, whether it's on a spiritual realm or whether it's on an electronic realm. There's no alerting of any change until I'm driving down the motorway. So it's about staying as calm as possible. And as I say, we're dealing with a cult, and so also I use prayer a lot. And I mean, it doesn't really matter what religion you are, prayer will still help you, I suppose, because it will still create calm. But also, I know for me, I deal with prayer, and I'm a Christian, so I will call on Jesus, and as far as I'm understanding, he's the highest of the highest. So when we're looking at the demonic realm, it's hierarchical, but all demons are terrified of Jesus. So calling on Jesus will make them flee. It's just the way it is. It's amazing. I had a guy the other day, and he come to check my electric, and it did feel a bit dodgy, and I just stood there while he did the cupboard, and in my mind just was like, yes, please Jesus, protect me through this. And the man seemed to like want to run from the house, and I hadn't said anything. I was just standing there nice and polite. So prayer can really work, and it's about using that and knowing that, yes, demonic are scared of that. Also, there's a lot of people complain of sleep deprivation, because yes, to make someone controllable, if you sleep deprive them, if you food deprive them or fluid deprive them, they become more controllable. This is what's used in basic programming. And so sleep deprivation is a big one. For that, I would recommend to use the same herbs as I recommend for crack cocaine users or drug users to withdraw from, because the herbs are for calming down the body and balancing the body. And the herbs are called Jewi Zao Yawa. I'll write that on the screen. Also earplugs help, and also what do you call them, the things that you cover your eye covers, I don't know what they're called, but they work too, because a lot of MCs will say that when they close their eyes it's still not pitch black, so these covers help, the earplugs help too. Also, as I say, try to live your life as normal as possible, because really it's about trying to isolate you, but also to try and affect your life, to steer you to focus on them and their agenda rather than you and your agenda and living your life. It's your life, so keep hold of your life, carry on as normal as possible, be friendly to people, because it's like your neighbours. As I say, if you be friendly to your neighbours, I do, if you're friendly in your neighbourhood, it becomes harder for the stalking side of things to actually tell them, oh, she's so and so, she's so, because if it doesn't fit with what they know of you, where if you stay isolated and recluse and away from everyone, then they can easily spread gossip, and you're not there to defend yourself even as your person. So it's about being as friendly as you can. I know for some people that's not possible, because it's like everywhere they are, they can't turn. Also, I learned years ago that the earth helps a lot, to be grounded. So go for walks, go to the forest, go to the parks, go and get earth, go and get air. People, you know, put their curtains drawn and close their windows, let the air through the house. It's fresh air, let clean air in, get some air in yourself, ground yourself. And also I see that sometimes people struggle to have baths and showers, because it's like as if there's a resistance to do this. But it's about try to do that, try to be in the bath, be in water, drink water. it's all helping you. So as I say, I didn't have no magical answer, but I'm hoping that what I have said here is helpful to some extent and to some people. And if you anything to say, you can say it below. That's all I've got to say for now, and I wish you well. Okay, bye bye.